Hey boys and girls, it's Mrs. Kiger here again, and now we have switched gears. We're still talking about matter, but this time we are focusing on the state of matter, which is known as liquids. So you have already sorted the differences between liquids and solids, and on day 2 activities, you are working all on solids. Day 3 activities, we're focusing on liquids. So one thing that is true of all liquids is that they have a definite volume. That means they take up the same amount of space. But what's a little bit different than solids is that they take the shape of their container. So if we measured the volume, the measurement of liquid would still be the same, but their shape changes because they take the shape of their container. And why they're allowed and able to do that is because their particles, unlike solids, which are very, very close, their particles or molecules are not so close. They're a little bit more spread out, and that allows them to be able to flow and move around. So that's why liquids can go from one container to another, and then they take the shape of that container. So that's one way that they're different than solids. But like solids, they also have a definite mass, and we know here on Earth, we know that mass and weight are measured the same way. So we, in 2nd grade, have been using our weight to kind of help us understand the mass. So they have the same mass, that doesn't change, and the same volume. The amount of space doesn't change, but what that shape looks like does change. So what we're going to do today, those are things that are true of all liquids. But then just like our solids, our liquids can all be a little bit different as well. So one way that we can describe these liquids and how they can be different than each other, even though they're all liquids, is we can describe some of their properties. And properties is just a scientific word for characteristics. So what can we say about them? This is when we go back to sometimes using our senses. A lot of times, what do we see? In solids, we used what it felt like, what texture, okay? We're gonna use something a little bit different for liquids that's not texture, but it kind of reminds me of texture. So one thing that we can think about if we are looking at liquids, and I grabbed a bottle of pure vanilla extract. This is a liquid. I am gonna pour this into a cup, because we know that liquids can be poured or they can flow. So notice the container here. It's sitting in that container, but when I pour it out, now it takes the shape of this container. So it's sitting all there at the bottom. It fills up the bottom first. Now, I could describe this vanilla by its color. It has a brown color, which is interesting because every time I taste something that tastes like vanilla, it's normally white. But did you know that vanilla is actually this brownish color? It comes from a vanilla bean, okay? We could talk about, is it foamy? Is it making foam? No, it's not foamy. Is it bubbling? No, I mean, I could stir it up and I could make bubbles because there's air getting in there, but it's not really bubbly like I know like my soda that I drink, although Mrs. Kiger calls it pop. All right, so here's the one thing that I kind of relate to texture about feeling it. Now, yes, we can feel the liquid. Some of you said liquids are different because you can't touch it, but I think what you were really meaning is you can't really hold on to it very long because if you open up your hands, it's gonna spill all over. That's because it can flow. This word is called viscosity, and you saw it up above my video. And viscosity is just the scientific word for, is it thick and sticky? So the thicker and stickier a liquid is, means it has a high viscosity. If it's not sticky and it's not thick, then it has a low viscosity. So I just think viscosity, sticky, okay? So if I put my finger in here, I can see how easily this flows back and forth. So that tells me that it's not very thick. It's probably not very sticky either. Nope, I can rub my fingers right around. So I would say my vanilla has a low viscosity, okay? So another thing we could talk about is transparency. If you remember in 1st grade, we had our flashlights and Mrs. Kiger gave you different objects and we talked about transparent. That's when that beam of that flashlight was able to shine right through. Then we talked about opaque. That completely blocked the light, causing a shadow. And then there was that thing that was in between, like the light could come through, but just a little bit. We couldn't see the beam, but we could still see the light. And we call that translucent, okay? So you could look through your liquid and see, can you see directly through it? Well, you can't see Mrs. Kiger directly through that vanilla, so it's not transparent. Now, a little bit of light does go through there, but you can't see Mrs. Kiger's eye. Let me see. Can I see my computer through there? No, I can't. I would probably call this opaque, okay? I cannot see through this liquid and what's on the other side. It's blocking the light completely so that I can't see through, okay? So that would be my vanilla. Now, I grabbed another liquid just to show you some differences. So this is corn syrup, and even though it's called light corn syrup, it's not clear. So for color, I would say it's kind of yellow, maybe a light tan, okay? Is it foamy? No, it's not foaming. Is it bubbly? No, not bubbly. Viscosity. Did you notice? That doesn't move as quickly. Oh, it's still sitting up there. That didn't move as quickly as our vanilla did it? No. So we would say this has a high viscosity. It's very sticky. It's very thick. Is it transparent? Well, I can see my computer through here. I can see my face on the video, but not very clearly. So it's not transparent. See how you can kind of see my glasses through there? It's not opaque because you can see some color. We would call this translucent. And just so you can see, I'm going to pour it on top of my vanilla. Ooh, so sticky. It was almost hard to get my lid open. Watch. Get it. Oh, there goes. Oh. All right, and very quick before he goes on, because there's people outside, look at this. Stick, 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 stick. High viscosity. All right, find a liquid in your house and describe that liquid for us and turn it in.